Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're watching it. This stream that we're going to have today, this enlightening and I believe will be quite exciting stream. I'd like to thank you for being here. And as many of you probably know from my streams, I'm going to be having my good friend here, George, who is an expert in geopolitical matters, helping guide us through these troublesome times. But there might be some people joining us for the first time, George, that might not know you. Would you be able to perhaps introduce yourself?
I'm a sociological theorist. I integrate political, economic, and geopolitical theories. I've been applying Promethean dime analysis to sea power versus land power theories on this show for the past couple of years and on Working Brother. And I did a whole bunch of shows over the winter on energynewsbeat.com with Stuart Turley. For the past 15 years, I've been an overseas private military contractor working with a variety of different companies, doing security and atmospheric intelligence analysis and future operations planning.
Well, that's great. And I should also say that George and I personally, we've met several times on several continents. And it's not like George and I are unfamiliar with each other or internet friends. So I'd like to say that, we actually have an established relationship and I trust his analyses. We have got a lot to get into today. I think a lot of interconnected things that are taking place in the world today. And I think what we could probably do is I'd like to go over very quickly your thoughts on the recent assassination attempt on former President Trump. Now, first of all, we do have some 3D analyses and other slideshow sets as well. But is there something you'd like to sort of lead us into before we get into those?
Yeah, it's on Saturday, I did a storyboard just of where approximately, from Google Maps and Google Earth, approximately where Trump stage was to approximately where the shooter was. Joshua and I were looking at different cell phone footage and trying to figure out where, who was where, filming what and when, and then trying to put it together. So we're doing that. Well, okay, obviously it's after 5 o'clock on Saturday. So by about 9:30, I had completed a slide set, posted it on a group chat, and then it got picked up by Mike Adams, who's also in the group chat. And then it started going to other content producers during the week. So it went from, they were doing sound analysis and me and my friends were just doing the storyboards and focusing on shooting lanes and the operations aspect of it, either setting up the venue assessments, how you would do that, where the shooter would be, and how something like this would be organized on both sides.
All right, good enough. Can you give us the bottom line? Was this a single lone shooter, a Lee Harvey Oswald type of incident, as they're trying to portray it as, of some 20-year-old, I don't want to call anyone, a loser, but that's how they're trying to portray him, as they did Oswald, a 20-year-old loser who had no social media footprint and was just an outlier with no discernible political agenda either.
Yeah, there's not a lot on the guy, so that's kind of suspicious because they scrubbed his social media if he had social media. Yeah, I see. Some people jumping to the conclusion that it's a 3-shooter because of the audio. Well, kind of. That's pretty much correct. I've gone over the audio footage over and over and over again with some different people. Yeah, it's 3 guns, but probably not the way people would expect.
Mm-hmm. All right, we've got. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll go over, because I can't really speak all that freely.
Yeah, I understand. Yep.
Yeah, we'll just go over scenarios because I don't want to pick a side. Let's just go over the plausibility of some scenarios.
Do you want to go through the 3D modeling first, or do you want to? Because that's only, I think, about a minute or two. Or do you want to go through?
Oh,
slides?
Yeah.
I know.
If
Can you
you
see the
could-
screen right now? Can you see?
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. Yeah,
So
just go down.
do you want to go through the 3D model? Because I have that actually ready to go. Or do you
Well,
want to go through this for like? So we've got
if you
that.
click down one,
Sorry.
if you click down one slide,
Okay.
yeah, that's where Mike Adams picked up my slide set. So he was doing the sound analysis at the same time I was doing the storyboard. When I threw it on the group chat, he picked it up and said our information roughly corroborated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, that's good enough for this one.
Okay. And then this one here.
If you could play that from the 11:45 mark on, just so people get a rough idea of what occurred.
Sure. 1 sec.
It's nice to start off with some facts.
Are you getting sound off of that or no?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Are you getting sound? Yes or no?
Me, yes.
All right. From 11:45.
Yeah. Oh wait, now I'm not getting the sound.
All right. Hold on.
Okay.
You're not getting any sound.
Yeah, I mean, other than from you, no, not from the movie.
Okay, hold on a second, because there's not a lot of sound here. It's just like, how about if I play?
Yeah, but it's
nothing.
no, he's not talking.
All right, no
he's
problem.
talking,
No problem. I can fix that.
because
Yeah.
people have to listen to the sequence of the bullets.
Yeah, I got it.
Both in sound motion, because with those first three shots, it's a bam, a trigger reset, on scope, bam, trigger reset, bam.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone that shoots a lot.
Okay, here we go. You should be getting it now.
Yeah.
George?
No, I see his mouth moving, but no sound.
One sec. There's got to be a fix for this. Assassinations. Chrome tab there. It's not coming out. Window. Here we go. This should be it right here. This should work.
Roll it.
It is rolling.
Oh, okay.
So are you getting sound, George?
No, only from you.
Okay,
So,
you should be getting sound, and I don't know why you're not. Share window, share audio. Share audio, share tab. Of course. Okay, try this. Just either like what I'm going to press play. I need you to put your thumb up. You're getting audio, or a thumb down. You're not, George. I need you to help me out here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we're having serious fucking issues here. Excuse my language. Okay, so you want this. Also share audio. Yes. Share audio. If it's not going to work here, we're only going to be able to have to watch it then, George.
Yeah, just
because it should be sharing the audio, and if it's not, then there's nothing I can do.
Okay. Yeah, just roll it back, and I'll just talk over it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the boomer tech jokes now coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not me. It's actually Restream. It's like a piece. Yeah. So
yeah, but the guy was right. It's Crooks was shooting a low end DPMS, probably about a 3 mil gun.
Right. Yeah.
It was really just base model. So that's why there's no way he shot first. Somebody with a better weapon shot first.
Right. All right. Can you explain why that is?
Well, yeah, play that, and I'll start. Roll it back, and I'll just talk over it. I wanted people to hear those gunshots, though. But yeah, roll it back and just play it from 11:45 on. I'll just talk over it. Yeah, somebody asked what difference does a caliber make? Yeah, it makes a huge difference. The bigger the bullet, the more air it's going to displace as it's going by, and the faster it's going, the more air it's going to displace. So it's going to have a louder supersonic snap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For the people in the audience that haven't had bullets going over their head a lot. So yeah, you can really tell range because 556 after 500 yards really starts to, well, really about 300 yards starts to really lose distance depending on barrel length and what load you have. Then even if you have a match grade load after about 800 meters, it loses supersonic ability, and they'll start to tumble. 308 will shoot a grand and stay stable as supersonic, but a 300 Windbag is still screaming at a grand.
Mm-hmm.
So you can really start to tell different calibers. A 338 will hit the impact berm with a good solid thump. A 50 caliber will hit the berm and make a big, huge thump that you can hear all the way back from the shooting line. If you're shooting 1,000 meters.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Let's give some people an indication of what you can learn by what you hear going overhead.
All right. Let's go back into your where is it? For fuck's sakes. Oops. I'm just gonna find your PDF. We'll go back into this, the PDF over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So I don't have a manager like a lot of channels do, guys. I'm having to do literally everything myself, and I'm having to do it off of Restream, and I'm doing it here, I'm doing it there. So I've got like 10 things open. So if there's a little bit of time lag between the tech stuff. So boomer on the tech, yeah, basically it's boomer on the tech.
Yeah. Well, we never have time to rehearse these things. Whenever you want to stream, you just ask me whatever I got on my queued up on my computer, so we just go for it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what slide do you want to go to?
Yeah.
Now?
Well then just roll through it and see if you or I can play it on my end and just have the sound come through my speakers. We can do that too.
Okay. Well, which slide though, George?
Yeah, go to the second one. Well, yeah, let me play it from here. I got to move my screens around a little bit. So if you're going to play, yeah, we'll play this one. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we did that slide. That's just Mike Adams corroborating his sound analysis. And then my slide set got distributed among other people that are doing sound analysis. So yeah, go down to the next one. So with that one, the moral of that story is the bullet is actually dead on. It shows I think most people have seen this anyway. A bunch of people are playing this. It shows how he turns parallel to the bullet, and then the bullet goes screaming by and hits his ear. The follow-up shots is 2 more shots in succession. So again, looking through scope, the guy is probably used to turning targets because he's shooting targets. He's shooting and he's trying to get the other shots off before the target turns. Bam, bam, bam. All right. So Trump shoots, and then he shoots. Then he's surprised to see Trump's head turn. So then he just fires off 2 more rounds, but then Trump is confused and he leans forward. Had he moved backwards, the other 2 shots would have got him. That's what this is illustrating. That's how close to a call it came from. It's going at his head. It looks like it's going at his head flush on. It's going to be a flush cranial shot from the side. But he turns his head parallel to look at the jumbotron behind him.
Right.
And then it just screams past his ear. But
I'm looking at this as well, and I've seen all manner of Democrat, like Rachel Maddow, for example, our good friend Rachel Maddow, talking about how this couldn't have been a real bullet. If it was a bullet, his ear would have been blown off. He's using packets of blood that you could buy on Amazon for Hollywood purposes. It doesn't look like that to me when looking at the angle, especially.
Right. So he moves. The shooter expects him to go backwards, not forwards. Or probably he's got it on a table and fires 2 rounds where it's on a bipod.
Right.
And he can't move it.
Right.
No.
Okay. There's also a couple other things. Is that we can get into that later, but there's a lot of talk about the shenanigans going on at the Secret Service, how it's actually been shown that they weren't giving him, experienced Secret Service details. I saw a video of a woman who looked like she was, more into Dunkin' Donuts than into practicing with her service pistol. She couldn't even holster the thing. And there does look to be as though there's and I counted at least several shots being popped off. He'd already gone to his head like this, because he'd been shot in the ear before the Secret Service did anything. And a lot of people talk about the potential collusion of a number of different forces trying to bring, and it's kind of, this happens, and then a week later, President Biden bows out of the presidential race. Do you think that there's any? Because the whole thing that I find kind of interesting. I'm just getting a little bit off topic, but we will come back to it. Is how you have for 4 years the controlled regime media, the Maddows, the Anderson Coopers, the Don Lemons, explaining to the American people, no, Joe Biden's inability to put together a coherent sentence has nothing to do with his mental acuity. It's just, it's being, what were they calling it a couple of weeks ago? Not deep fakes, cheap fakes. Cheap fakes, because they had the cheap fake being something that's cut down, and the entirety of it is not being shown, so it only makes Joe Biden look bad. But you've got 4 years of anyone with eyes to see that the man literally was not fit for presidential service. And now they're, they have this thing and they can't hide it anymore. The entire regime media turns on him, his party turn on him, and, he's being drummed out. And they're bringing in this Kamala or Kamala. I'm not even sure. Probably one of the most unlikable politicians in Washington. I think, even Hillary is more likable than Kamala. So my question is, do you think, bringing it all back, and I'd like to talk about these subjects a little bit more in depth later, do you think that there was any, with the deep state, was there any kind of collusion and with the Secret Service to try and get him?
Well, we went over the motive when we went over the 7P plan.
Yeah.
That was months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So they've destroyed the university system years ago, which I'm going to have a series of videos on that on other channels and papers.
Yeah.
On the other channels I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they got the professors, the prosecutors, the police, police meaning all gun carriers, federal, state, and local. The importance of that is if you're going to bankrupt the country with the Cloward and Piven plan, if you can control most of the institutions, but you don't control conservatives are in law enforcement and combat arms, then they will have affected a right-wing coup instead of a left-wing coup.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the past several years trying to put wokesters in the police department, well, all the police departments and the Pentagon and the military to try to reverse that. So the 7P plan that we did several months ago, and I did a few shows on that with Working Brother on his channel. We were going to do more, but this assassination attempt has become all time consuming this week. So yeah, I kind of shifted the focus, but you go back to the 7P plan for the motive.
Right.
Why are so many? Because the ruling coalitions, the neoconservatives, neoliberals, and far left, what do they have in common? They're all statists to some degree or another. If they vote as a coalition, well, then they want to flood a few more red states and turn them to blue. Then you've attained your single party socialist state, and you can never vote yourself out of socialism. Mm-hmm. You can vote yourself into socialism. You cannot reverse that.
Yeah.
So hence the mass migration in the 7P plan paper I wrote back for the trucker convoy in Austin in mid-January.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that paper is still floating around. I'm doing other versions of that because there's just so many dimensions. Once you control, it's the university, prosecutors, police, priests.
So do you think, for example, where is Joe Biden? Okay, so for example, his supposed stepping down from the election, the forthcoming election, and I want to get into the primaries in just a second. He's nowhere to be seen, and there's only been one letter posted on Twitter, and since then there's nowhere to be seen. Now it seems to me his party's pushed him out. Obviously, it's a soft coup d'état against him. I don't think he wanted to go willingly. But one of the things I'd be wondering is how is it they've had the primary, so the Democratic voters have chosen through the primary system they wanted to have Joe Biden, and then he just steps out and says, no, I'm giving the throne away to her, to Kamala, where none of the people voted for her in the primaries. Now, is that, and then also the money that he's raised, is it, I've read a whole smattering of legal arguments that it's not legal for him to hand this money over to Kamala, and it's not legal for her to just be anointed, without any kind of, obviously none of this is legal. I mean, it's all part of the regime theatrics, but does this look something like an attempted assassination on a former president and then a soft coup on a sitting president a week later?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, going back to 7Ps, if Trump wins, it's not just that he wins the presidency. He's also going to get a majority in the Senate and a majority in the House. So they can't lose all three houses. If they lose all three houses, the 7Ps get pushed way back.
Mm-hmm.
We're already talking about moving to flat tax or doing away with the IRS and going to a sales tax or something like that, doing away with Department of Education, and then obviously reforming voting laws then okay, you're going to drastically. Okay, well, let me stop for a second. The interest on our debts every year is about equals the DoD expenditures, the entire military.
Oh yeah, I know. It's absolutely untenable at this point. It's
Yeah,
untenable because yeah, the just but that's just the cost of servicing the debt, as I understand it,
correct. So,
as the same amount of money that's thrown into the DoD.
right.
Yeah,
So
which is
if you,
just, I mean, it's a trajectory to pretty much not a good place.
yeah, well, my predictions for going back, I don't know, at least 10 years now was inflation at 30 trillion, higher inflation at 30 trillion, where 35 trillion where we're at right now, and then rampant inflation by 40 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's based on the amount of interest you're paying for the debt when it starts eclipsing whole major budgets of executive branch agencies. So as that interest payments start to equal defense and intelligence community expenditures, the far left isn't going to want to cut their social services. They're going to want to cut that. The neocons and the neoliberals don't want that cut. Well, the liberals aren't going to want anything cut. The neocons will say cut social services. So this tripartite ruling coalition of neocons, neoliberals, and far left, they're really at odds. So if Trump gets into power, cuts everything across the board, yeah, they're going to hate it because you're cutting back the welfare state, cutting back the socialist state.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be against it. So if Trump wins, it's not just him; it's the House. So now they're panicking that they're going to lose both houses in the legislature. So that's why they're going into a real fit, at least trying to stop that. They're trying to stop the bleeding somehow.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And would you say that though this is a coordinated attack? Was my question, because they weren't able to take Trump out, and because of that, there's no way. So, for example, I don't know what the percentage of Americans are left that believe in the legitimacy of the electoral process in America. Maybe we can get the chat to get involved here. So chat, press 1 if you believe that the American elections are free and fair, or press 2 if they are not free and fair and are corrupt. I'm just curious what the chat has to say, because I think that there's a large percentage of Americans that no longer believe elections even matter. That, for example, it wouldn't have been possible even if they had killed Donald Trump. Let's just say, God forbid, and I'm not saying I would like that, not at all. But that, say they had killed Donald Trump. So yeah, it's just 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. It's a joke. 2, 2. There's a 1 there. Okay, there's a 1. Who is that? Let me go back there. There was a 1. There's too many. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yeah. Okay. Going back to the elections, that I think because they couldn't kill Trump, it would have been impossible for them to pull their late night shenanigans in the counting offices and their mail-in voting, where it would go, the sort of curve goes like that in the middle of the night when all the mail-in votes come in. And they realized it. And they figure someone as unlikable as Kamala has a better chance than Biden. And this is why the soft coup happened. And I see a uni party and what they call the deep state, the bureaucracy, the uni party of Washington working together in this on both ends. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I mean they're really dreading a Trump victory, and everything else that goes along with it. It reverses. They think they're about to achieve the socialist welfare state utopia. And
and that really works out wherever it's they try to implement it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So as far as that goes, they're all against it. So yeah, the better Secret Service obviously goes to Jill Biden, and Trump gets the JV team. That's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's a whole when we start going through the slide set, there's a whole bunch of things that occurred leading up to it.
All right, let's go back to that because we've already been going for 35 minutes and we still got a lot to get through. Okay, so number 4, number 5, where do we want to go next?
Yeah, did you well, we haven't done any actually sound video yet.
Right. Okay, I'm going to try with this. Let me see if I can get this.
Yeah, can you work with that?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, I'm just going to size it for everybody. Okay, and I'm going to just do the tab.
This is the area we're going to focus in on.
Also share, yes. Channel content, user. This is a Chrome. Oh, this is why it's not a Chrome tab. All right. This is why I'm having problems because this Restream, it only accepts Chrome tabs for sound. Okay. Okay, hold on. This should work now. Put it like that. Okay. Now, okay. Now this should work. Are you ready? And tell me with the thumbs up after it starts if you're getting sound, George. I'd really appreciate the input so I don't have to ask. Okay, it's starting now.
This is the area we're going to focus in on.
Yeah, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Here you can see the 3 victims that were injured by gunfire and where they were standing in the bleachers. We're going to turn around and demonstrate exactly where these bullets came from. This model represents Thomas Crooks. His position can be seen here in this image, which illustrates exactly where he was. Turning around, we can see the path of all the bullets that were fired from this location. I placed a 10-foot red disc downrange to represent what an average shooter could hit easily. Now let's take a look at this first shot fired. Coming from our key location, bullet 1 grazes President Trump's ear. This is the same bullet that hits a spectator in the stands. We know this through video evidence. As President Trump is talking, the first shot rings out just after he says, "Take a look at what happened."
Something to say. Take a look what happened.
We can see the vapor trail of a bullet strike, which is the same bullet that struck President Trump's ear a split second earlier, and this video is this location here. Back at the podium, President Trump is shot and grabs his ear, falling to the ground as more shots rang out. In total, there were 7 or 8 shots, so let's rewind and watch this at regular speed.
Take a look at what happened.
With all that gunfire, it's easy to understand how these spectators were injured, even though they were not the target, including the sole spectator who lost his life that day. As we circle around, we can see how all the paths of the bullets were hitting in the location of this forklift machine, causing one of the hydraulic hoses to burst.
All right. Do you want to go through that again and explain and pause?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Rewind it because I just wanted people to hear it just straight through for those that haven't heard it already.
Okay. All right. Hold
All
on.
right.
There we go. One more time.
And then I'll
This
tell
is
you
the
to stop it.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. One more
I'll tell you
time.
to stop it when I. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the area we're going to focus in on. Here you can see the 3 victims that were injured by gunfire and where they were standing in the bleachers. We're going to turn around and demonstrate exactly where these bullets came from. This model represents Thomas Crooks. His position can be seen here in this image, which illustrates exactly where he was. Turning around, we can see the path of all the bullets that were fired from this location. I placed a 10-foot red disc downrange to represent what an average shooter could hit easily. Now let's take a look at this first shot fired. Coming from our key location, bullet 1 grazes President Trump's ear. This is the same bullet that hits a spectator in the stands. We know this through video evidence. As President Trump is talking, the first shot rings out just after he says, "Take a look at what happened."
See something that said, take a look what happened.
We can see the vapor trail of a bullet strike, which is the same bullet that struck President Trump's ear a split second earlier, and this video is this location here. Back at the podium, President Trump is shot and grabs his ear, falling to the ground as more shots rang out. In total, there were 7 or 8 shots, so let's rewind and watch this at regular speed.
All right.
Take a look at what happened.
With all that gunfire, it's easy to understand how these spectators were injured, even though they were not the target, including the sole spectator who lost his life that day.
Yeah, can you hit pause?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so those first 3 shots, she's got the first 3 shots in the yellow line, the green line, and the blue line, but then you notice she's got the next 5 shots in black.
Yes.
Okay. She goes over a single shooter, single weapon theory is the way that she presents that, but the way that she color codes her, whatever she thinks the bullet trajectory paths are, I have no idea how she comes up with that, but she's actually grouped it in 2 shooters. When you go to Chris Martinson's sound analysis, yeah, it's the 2 shooters. So then it's who shoots first, and in that scenario, if the goal is to assassinate Trump, you want your better shooter to shoot first with the better rifle. Mm-hmm. So then it seems like what Crooks's job is to then shoot, be the patsy. He gets eliminated. And then he has more of an active shooter, shoot into the crowd, cause commotion role in this. Mm-hmm. So you really have 2 different roles here. 2 different weapons, 2 different roles.
Mm-hmm. And why is the law enforcement completely dismissing the idea of 2 shooters?
Well, didn't they dismiss Hunter Biden's laptop?
They did entirely. Just bringing up something that I saw just on how social media. This is kind of the same thing. For anyone who watched Star Wars as a kid, it would break your heart. Because I've got let me share this. So you have Luke Skywalker. What happened here?
Oh, Mark Hamill.
Oh yeah, there he is. Hold on a sec. And he's I've never seen a more odious man. To be honest with you, he's just odious. Utterly odious. And so he's got himself pictures of Kamala Harris, but he's talking about President Trump's his here we go. Why is it not showing now? It's showing a different one. Hold on a sec. Here we go. So he's talking about first appearance. This is the day, or the same day, I believe. First appearance of the ludicrously oversized ear bandage, apparently not needed prior to tonight. So this guy's talking about he's just making this up. Like, I don't know if you're very familiar with Luke Skywalker. He's become one of the most just odious characters, I think, on the internet. And it's really sad because, for a lot of people, when you were a kid, you thought that, you thought that, he was cool. He was Luke Skywalker. He was with the Force, and here he is, everything is like anti-Trump, but here it was like Joe Biden, I'd like to fillet him no matter what. And his current post is this right here with Kamala Harris. So it's just kind of sad because what you see is these idiotic celebrities, and I'm wondering if they even believe their vitriol, because I don't, they like his whole life is, he made his life of going, pew, 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 pew. Let's destroy the Death Star. And anyway, just is he's a cretinous person.
Yeah.
Sorry, but let's go back to the slide set. Or do you want to go through this one more time?
Well, no, that's fine. Yeah, just go to the next one.
Okay, hold on a sec. I gotta reopen it though. So. Yeah, this is it. Trump assassination. This one here. Okay. All right, here we go. 5.
Yeah. See, that one's done. Oh, the previous one was I got that video from David Avocado Wolf. He got it somewhere else though, and I can't remember the name for that citation for the previous one. Mm-hmm. This one comes from Mike Bell. He does a basic layout. This is a pretty good view because it shows over to the upper left-hand corner of the screen, and we're going to get into this in other pictures. It shows where the AGR building is, building 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's shooting kind of south. And it has to go past these 2 bleachers. Trump is in the podium. So it shows how somebody in the first bleachers could get hit, how Trump could get hit at the podium, and then people in the upper corner of the far side bleachers would get hit.
Mm-hmm.
And in this scenario, it does not have the jumbotrons that were behind Trump off to his right or off to his left. And in this one, the counter sniper teams are on the buildings behind them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I need to interject. First of all, how was this kid able to get? I was reading he was also flying a drone over the site prior to Trump's arrival. And how many yards was he? About 150 yards away?
Yeah, in this one, it's
on an elevated position where the president is giving how in the heck does that happen?
It happened a lot of different ways. Again, is
it incompetence or is it malevolence? Though is what I keep coming back to. This is I want to know, or what you think. Is it absolute incompetence or is it malevolence?
Well,
or a combination of both.
My hop and lie hop. There's going to be one part of make it happen on purpose, and then another aspect of letting it happen on purpose. So the lie hop aspect is put as many incompetent people there as possible.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's how
many shots did they get off before they said, okay, shooter, sit down, and the counter sniper team started shooting back?
They got off 9 shots, 8 or 9 shots. The counter sniper team, gets the 9th one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, taken from cell phone footage over by the building. You can clearly hear the suppressed 30 caliber round going the other direction.
Right.
Because it's a suppressed round moving at a higher velocity, and there's no report.
Okay.
So it's a suppressed weapon.
All right. So we're basically looking at a bit of both. Then it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I want to go through this a little bit more because I want to move on to the Kamala Biden because also I want to get into the sort of geopolitical aspect of, because the thing is one thing Americans, I hear like from Americans, what they'll say, well, why are foreigners interested in our politics? Well, the reason is because the United States, being the global hegemon, it throws itself around like an elephant in a tea shop. And it really does depend on how they're going to allocate even within their own managed decline. So, I mean, I've been reading, the United States, it's been in decline for a while now. I mean, you and I have talked about this on several, like pretty much every episode we have on this show. And it's going to define, I think, not just the United States, but the world over the next decade or so, how America manages its decline. Is it going to do it in an orderly fashion where it allows for the logical and the inevitable outcome of a multipolar planet, with the United States not being able to just like beat other countries into submission, whether that be militarily or economically, or if they're just going to, as I use the analogy, be an elephant breaking up, running around in a china shop. And I think a lot of people around the world have an interest in how that's happening. And if the United States is not even capable of keeping itself and its elections together in a functioning way, it does not portend well for the future. So that's just my little spiel there on that. So we'll get into that too. Let's maybe try to finish this up in about 5 minutes. The most important slides here.
Yeah, we'll just go down. Just click to them. All right, that one. John Cullen has a multiple shooter theory. He really keys in. He's been keying in all week on sound analysis. So he's really trying to he criticizes Chris Martinson's because when the bullet goes by Trump's microphone, you're getting their supersonic snap when it goes by it, but then it's also going to pick up in the mic and come out of the public address speakers. Mm-hmm. So then you're going to follow that by the report, which is also going to get picked up by the mic and also come out with the public address speakers. Mm-hmm. So he's got a methodological problem with the way Chris Martinson did it. Chris Martinson has then redone it by paralleling sound taken from different sources. Sources over by the building is what he's been going with in his last video. So it can take out those disruptions.
Right.
And have a single source camera, same spot. The person's moving a little bit, but same spot. So then you hear the rounds going towards the stage, the first 3, then the next 5, the suppress shot coming the other way. So all the shots stop. And then you hear a shot at the end.
Okay.
For the 10th shot. So those are the 3 weapons. But I think the 10th shot is a rollover shot. They're going to shoot him again. Crooks, I mean. Mm-hmm. To make sure that he doesn't have any explosives on him, that he's not rigged with a BBI, a body-borne IED. They're going to make sure he doesn't have that, so they shoot him again. That's what I think the 10th shot is. Mm-hmm. Shot suppressed. Mm-hmm. And so that would be the 3rd weapon, the way I would see it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because they're not going across the stage anymore. It's just there's a shot that you can pick up from the cell phone footage that's closer to the buildings.
Right.
All right. This is a quick video. All right. This
is not a video. This is an image.
Yeah. So this picture here is, boy, were they in a hurry to clean up that site. They dismantled that whole thing in a day.
Sounds like the World Trade Center.
Yeah, they dismantled that whole thing, but people can see how the stage was set up and about where Trump was shooting so people can understand how I came up with my approximations for the distances. Mm-hmm. So that's why that picture's there. Go down one more. Okay, John Cullen looks at. It looks like people are moving or flinching in the back row in the right side bleachers. And he theorizes the shot that for that to happen, the shot's actually coming from that clump of trees. I think it's ridiculous because you would actually have to be about 100 or 200 feet higher than the trees. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But then it would be coming at such an angle, it wouldn't go laterally across people. It would just go laterally across one or two people into the bleachers. It wouldn't. It's carrying too much horizontally for that to actually work. So I dismiss his theory on that. He has a water tower theory shot. There is no camera footage of anybody in the water tower. There's no way to escape that. There are police cars in the bottom, so since nobody can, do an E&E escape evasion, I discount the water theory part, the water tower part.
Yeah.
So I focus on the buildings because I'm looking for, my initial motive for the first night was just to look at plausible shooting lanes on Google Earth. So that's what I did. But just to show you what his theory was, I discount out. Now go down to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, let me catch up to you here. All right. Okay, so this is Chris Martinson's on his sound analysis. He's leaning towards two weapons, two shooters, and is focused on the building on the far side is where the bullet's coming from. So that's the same thing as the 3D modeling. But also there's a second window in the upper building that has 3 windows open. So he does a very detailed picture analysis going through there. So right after the kill, a helicopter comes on the scene, takes pictures of it, and those photographs are out, and the windows are open. They're supposed to be closed. But in those buildings is actually where the police rally point is supposed to be. Go ahead and click down to the next one, 11. So to resolve the methodological argument between Chris Martinson and John Cullen, he moves to one taken over in the field by the AGR buildings. So go down to the next one. All right. Now we're going to talk about how I started this thing. We were just looking at pictures, me and Joshua on Saturday afternoon or evening when the thing went down. On Google Maps, looked for the street views, and then started. So the street views are going to be in the blue lines. That will tell you where the Google Maps vehicle went and took pictures. So then you can click on those and start to get different perspectives. So I was getting on different perspectives. Joshua was looking at different cell phone footage and saying, oh, wait, this person, I see where this person was standing. So then we mark it. And then we go to a different video and try to correlate that to a position, mark it, and keep on going around until we can figure out who was standing where when they took pictures.
Right.
So, go to the next one. Oh, wait. Go back to 11 real quick. Or is that 12? 12, I'm sorry. Yeah, Poo is point of origin and Poi is point of impact. So the original Poo and Poi were set up for a single person, single weapon theory, firing at Trump. And that's the one that Health Ranger Mike Adams picked up and went with, but he reverses it. He thinks Crook shot first, somebody else shot first. But the problem with that is, why would you have your worst shooter with the worst weapon shooting first? If the goal is to assassinate Trump. And no, it's not a 3-round burst. The guy does a quick shot, trigger reset, shot, trigger reset, shot, lets off. Picks up his brass, he's going to leave. To answer somebody in the chat there. All right, and are we at 13?
We're at 13, yes.
Okay, so Crooks is about 127 meters away. The first counter sniper team is on the far right building, closer to Crooks's building.
Mm.
The second sniper, so that would be behind Trump and to the right. The second counter sniper team would be behind Trump to the left. People were wondering why that first counter sniper team was confused. The shots are coming from, there you go. The shots are coming from where the police rally point building is supposed to be. So that would cause cognitive dissonance. Also, when you look at, where I signed Crooks that night, it was on the far left side of the building. It actually appears from the other photos, released on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, that he was farther to the right side of the building. So yeah, he stayed behind that tree that's in that picture there. If you switch to we can't switch to a Google Earth map right away, but there is a tree there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the first counter sniper team act so they're confused, because they hear gunshots, and then they're going to be confused because they're coming from the building that the police are supposed to be in for the rally point. That's going to be really confusing. And then the shots are coming from behind the tree, so they can't see where the shots are coming from.
Right.
All right. So then there is a long shot weapon theory, but the long shot from the gym across the street, you would have to take the higher building to do that, get on the roof of that. And then you're talking about a 584 meter shot approximately, because again, you got to get behind the trees. So you have to get all the way over to the far right side of the building. Again, looking at it from Google Earth point of view. So you can get a clear line of sight to Trump, but then to shoot, almost 600 meters, you can't do that with 5.56. It just doesn't have the downrange force. Even if you're using a 77 grain bullet, then it goes slower anyway. If you use 55 grains, it's too light and just doesn't have the momentum. It really starts losing energy.
Right.
So that's going to be at least a 308 shot. Those aren't 308 sounds. So I eliminate that as a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why that slides in there. So then if you eliminate that long shot, then again you're focusing on what Chris Mortensen was focusing on, which is 2 shooters, 1 building. Okay, so then what this slide says, it's actually the second counter sniper team that's able to get at the far end of their building and eliminate Crooks, because they can get around that tree there from their point of view. Greg Lapin of Fieldcraft Survival said they were shooting. Yeah, those are 300 Win Mags with 700, Remington 700 long actions in an Accuracy International frame with Night Force scopes. So you're talking about 20 grand there. Yeah, you're talking about 20 grand. Well, actually more, because he's got other instruments on that thing. Yeah, that setup he's got there is probably 25 to 30 grand. Yeah, so they have the best of everything. Very, very good stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, they didn't shoot. It was the other guys. But Greg Lapin said they were shooting out of a Knights Armament Company SR-25, which is an AR style rifle, chambered in 308. Most snipers usually shoot an M118 long range with a 175 match grade Sierra Match King bullet is generally what they use. That's basically what it sounded like when it was hitting. When you hear it on the other side and you hear the bullet going by, the one that actually hit Crooks. If it was, I don't know. But then I saw other pictures. One of those other snipers on that counter sniper team also had a bolt gun that was in the same setup as those guys, the Accuracy International. Okay, here's the guy that pointed out where Crooks was on the roof. That was one of the clues that we used to find out where Crooks was on Saturday now. And, since then, everybody figured out where the buildings and the stages were. So, again, it's a crowdsourcing effort here.
Yeah.
See, you're on.
Yeah, this is just a picture of Crooks, his body there. That's 18. And
Yeah,
then
okay.
The BBC interview guy again, 19. We talked about the buildings with having windows.
All right. Yeah, I want to focus in on that real quick.
Yeah.
It really does come down to that. We don't have time to really go into this in depth. But the two windows on the second window from the right is clearly open. And people can see that if they look at Chris Martinson's video, the one that he put out this morning. Yeah, zoom in on that. Yeah, this is just Google Earth footage. But in the helicopter post-mortem shot, yeah, that window, the second one to the right, is clearly open. There's also another shot today that was released from inside that window. So when you start to do sound analysis, we're just going to cut through this. I think we don't have time to really go back and forth to different videos. But when you start to play, well, people can just listen to Chris Martinson because he really goes through the sound analysis very cleanly. So if you watch this video and then go watch his, it makes more sense because the first three shots, why they would sound different than the second three is if you're inside the room by 5 feet, because you don't want the muzzle flash to project outside because then the counter sniper teams are going to see it. You would be inside that building a little bit, so some sound would get out. If you're going to pick which weapon you're going to use, and you want to use the same caliber as Crooks so everything sounds about the same, but they sound a little bit different, you want to make a clean shot, you're probably going to want to use an 18.5 or 20-inch barrel, just get that extra velocity. And then use a 62 or a 77 grain bullet, have a little bit more bite to it. So there's a couple of different factors of barrel length, and then the type of caliber load you have. Plus, you're shooting slightly indoors because a shooter in that building would want to conceal themselves, so they would shoot 7 feet in the building or whatever, because you don't want the gun barrel to come out. They can't shoot suppressed. One of the biggest advantages for suppressors isn't just sound suppression. They're really better for flash suppression.
Right.
All right. Especially if you're shooting at night, because you're going to light the sky up with your flash, and then everything in the battlefield is going to come to you. This is not as bad, but still they're going to want to move back. So that would account for shooting a similar round from a similar place, similar area, and come up with two different sounds. So that's what I'm attributing to the different sounds is they're actually Crooks didn't shoot them all. It's one shot inside, then the other one shot on a roof. So then you're going to have different echoes. If you're shooting on a tin roof, that would account for the tinnier sound of the last 5 shots. Just my opinion.
Okay.
So then, to go down to the next one. Yeah, he's the one that first reported, Greg Lapin from Fieldcraft. He's the one that reported that it was the second counter sniper team, because at first people only saw the first one. So he talked about, no, it was actually, he talked to some people that were there. Fieldcraft Survival they do a lot of long range sniper instructor courses themselves.
Right.
Kevin Owens was in on the 338 Norma selection for the counter sniper rifle for SOCOM. So he's working there. Everyone knows Mike Glover, of course. He got into a little trouble last month. But yeah, so these guys talk to a lot of people in the shooting community. They've also worked overseas as contractors for CIA GRS, Global Response Staff. So between those experiences, yeah, they know a lot of people in the shooting community. So yeah, they were able to get some information pretty quickly. Not sure from who, and of course I wouldn't say who if I knew anyway, right? So yeah, that's where that information came from. Yeah, and then the last one on 23 is just a good layout of what the venue looks like.
Right.
And then yeah, if we had time to do a deeper dive, yeah, then I would directly just go into Google Earth. Touch down about where Trump would be at the podium, and then if you start scanning around, you can start eliminating some of the other multiple shooter theories, and then kind of focus in on what I did.
Okay.
If people come up with different answers, that's fine. We're just here I just went through a few different scenarios and the plausibility of them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. Before we move on to the Joe Biden and the what's going on with Kamala Harris, I don't know if this is true or not. I found, there's a internet's on Twitter. There's one. I don't know if you can see this. It's saying that breaking, a verified source has informed global press tonight that Joe Biden is currently in hospice care and unlikely to survive the night. Now, whether that's true or not, I really wouldn't be. So this gets back to what we were talking about. I'm pretty much believing that what's happened to Joe Biden was a palace coup because he didn't want to leave. And he said so much, like he was adamant that he wasn't going to leave. He was going to go no matter what. And interestingly enough, though, like even with his babbling, he still had a higher approval rating than Kamala in a head-to-head match with Trump. Obviously, he wasn't going to win, but I don't know if any of that's true or not. I also want to just shill something. I've got a, because I need to shill because I don't make any money from these. I've got a new Trump t-shirt that I finished making yesterday. If you guys can see that, it's Trump in Japanese kabuki, Japanese kabuki sort of style stuff, and it says like Trump is now being called. He's got a nickname here that it's going to be Trump no matter what. And then below it says, "Make America Great Again." I'll type in where you can find that shirt. It's in the description of anywhere you're watching this from. Oh, no, sorry. That's not it right there. That was the thing on X. Sorry about that. All right, let's move on to, so that shirt is new. I just put that out last night. If you like it, it helps the channel. Because I think I've made $2 in donations on this, right? Some people make, $1,000. I made $2. I make nothing off of these things. I make nothing off the channel usually.
Yeah.
So it does help. It does help. If you guys want to take a look at that again, I'll put the link in the description. But the description, you can find the link anyway. I want to get to something I thought was kind of interesting. This is actually, you can look this up. Let me just, anyone who is Christian, Revelation 17:3-6. And I'll put that in the chat as well. And I'm wondering, if people have, I guess, okay, it's Revelation 17:3-6. And I'm wondering, they say that evil and demonic and satanic people, they have to tell you what they're doing, and your acquiescence basically makes it your fault, right? And I think a lot of them, they don't see general human beings as being as human. I think so. I want to just show you guys this. This was Kamala at the I think this is the inauguration ceremony, and if you go to that quote, and this is just obviously what I believe this to be is I believe it to be somebody liking to play with people, but the quote says, "And there I saw a woman sitting in on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 7 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls."
Yeah, that's
that's revelation, right?
yeah.
I'm not making that up. I put it in there for you guys. It's Revelation 17:3-6, and or 17.
All right.
What was it? Yeah, 17. So I just thought that was just a little tidbit that we're going through.
Yeah, I'll look at it later.
Okay, so yeah, thanks from Blood Muffin. Appreciate it. To Australian. Will a Caesar figure arise? I think if anything, Trump would be more. People say he's the new Caesar. I think he seems more like a Sulla. He's paving the way for a Trump. If I was going to say that, but I want to get into this right now that's happening. Nobody has seen Biden, and we've only had this text message on Twitter, and there is so many questions here. It's just being handed over to Kamala Harris. Does this? I want to get into this coup, this palace intrigue. This. I believe that this is exactly what it was. I believe this was a palace takedown of Joe Biden, and I'm not going to say I feel sorry for him because as a puppet that he has been. What it has shown is that him and Kamala Harris have not been in charge in Washington since they came into town. They are not in charge, and they have not been in charge for years. And I think it's very abundantly clear unless you're possibly functionally, mentally handicapped, that you can't see this. And I think we're at a very scary place where people no longer believe in elections. The public officials that are the puppets or the face of the bureaucracy can no longer even be put on marionette strings and function properly. And now they're throwing out this Kamala Harris after what I see as a palace coup. And she's abundantly disliked. I don't know what her approval ratings are, but I'm going to venture to guess they're in the doldrums. So my question to you is, are they going to rig the election coming up in November? Are they going to rig it again? Are they going to try to kill Trump?
Wait. You get YouTube strikes for using that word.
What?
Heavily influence.
Oh, heavily influenced.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't okay. That's what I meant. I was talking about my boat. Do you think, like when we're putting up the
rigging,
yeah, on the boat. Do you think that they're going to basically what is going to happen on this?
Oh, I think all of the above. I mean, I was talking to people yesterday, and yeah, they really think they're about to get the single party socialist state or the single party, globalist state. Different people are going to have different conceptions of what they want to end up with, but they're almost there. Well, they would have had it nailed down in 2016, but Trump beat Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a little bit further with the open borders mass migration to try to, they need to turn one or two more states from red to blue. So they're trying to bring in as many new voters as possible. So yes, that would indicate that they're definitely trying to increase the popular vote wherever they can. And then at least use that to get as many well, you don't get more senatorial seats, but you get more congressional seats.
Right.
So that's what they're trying to get there, both in the census and actually in the House. So yes, if they're already trying to influence the election outcome that way by changing the electorate, if they're doing ballot harvesting and the mail-in voting and the voting machines, well then, yes, they might be heavily trying to influence the election in that way.
I find the United States one of the most interesting countries in the sense that it tries to portray itself as the greatest democracy in the world, the purest democracy. But it's the only one where they'll have arguments over whether or not people should have ID when they vote. I mean, you have to have ID to drive a car. You have to have ID to buy cigarettes, to buy alcohol. You have to have ID to get on an airplane. You have to have ID to rent an apartment. You have to have ID for multitudes of things in your daily life. Whereas in the United States, and it's the only country I'm aware of, that it's even a question of when you go to the ballot box that you should or should not have to have ID. And I don't even understand how this is even a question. I mean, obviously, this is just another form of fortifying elections. But why do you think it's such an issue in the United States and nowhere else, voter ID?
Oh, for the left, they're going to say it's Bull Connor and voter intimidation and all of that from the old from the old South, Jim Crow South. So they want to, okay, I don't think they really believe that. They really do that because it makes it easier to influence the elections.
Okay, well, let's get back to what's going on. So why haven't we seen Joe Biden?
That just came up today, and I've been doing the other stuff nonstop because I got just a ton of projects for the other, for the other things I got going. And that was going through my Telegram feeds though all day. I did look up and see that they were talking about, he was taken by helicopter over to Rehoboth Beach, and then that was basically it. But I haven't really heard any word. I didn't realize it was that big of a deal.
Well, no, but it's also the fact that, I mean, this is basically in the 11th hour, you're bowing out of a U.S. presidential election after the primaries. I'm not sure if this has ever been done before. You're attempting to pass along your election war chest to an anointed successor.
Right.
And also, as I was saying at the beginning of this stream, is that, basically the entire primary process has been disregarded by the DNC. So it's already showing the DNC and the donor class are the ones that are choosing the candidates. I mean, it can't be more apparent to anyone. And even like the party themselves, like the party member, like your rank and file Democrat, or even if you think about grotesque hacks like Rachel Maddow or Chunk Yogurt over at the Young Turks, they have to know. They have to be able to see this. That it's absolutely undemocratic what's happening. So my thing is you've got. I honestly think one of the largest sort of conflagrations in presidential history. Well, not in presidential history, but at least in electoral history, and especially in this century. I mean, I think the only other bigger one could be probably the recount issue and hanging chads with Gore and Bush, probably. But he hasn't been seen anywhere. He hasn't written anything anywhere. He hasn't made a speech. Nothing. Like, he's just missing in action. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Oh, we'll see. But yeah, he's probably devastated because his delusion, his bubble just burst. So I'm sure his world just ended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
and he also knows that he knows that Clooney got together with Obama and the Clintons. They all got together and pushed him out.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's probably the combination between the heavy hitters in the Democratic Party, who they all hate each other anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and then and then plus the celebrities, because apparently George Clooney, well, apparently he does the election. Apparently he does the selection for the DNC.
Wait a minute. How what? George Clooney's the action hero, over his prime type guy, right?
Yeah, but he showed up in DC last week and went to Calorama where Obama lives,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and had that meeting with Obama about who to select next. So that's what they think of democracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously they're not
movies. I guess he gets to select the president too.
Well, I don't know. I mean, does he make good movies? I don't remember the last movie I saw. What he does, or he has. I don't know. He always seems like the same. This is kind of like Tom Cruise. He always seems to be like the same character in everything he's in.
Well, he makes a lot of money doing it.
Well, good for him. So talking, I want to do maybe because we've been going about an hour and a half. That's what I wanted to do. Where do you see this going? Is it going to be a clean election? Now, obviously, it's not going to be a clean election, but is it going to be one that, it's going to be a fortified election? Is Trump going to be able to squeak by, or is he going to be able to make it, is what I'm wondering. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions?
Again, going back to 7P plan, they think they're so close to their single party globalist state. They have to do something before the elections in November to stop a reversal of that.
Right.
Especially if Trump gets, a bigger majority in both houses. And then the next chance if Trump wins, their next chance is they have to do something between the election and the inauguration.
Right.
So they just had a big fight over who his vice president's going to be, because presidents don't select their own VPs. I mean, they were supposed to, but apparently that's not the process anymore. So there's big fights about who is going to get elected, which only just means that, if you were a conspiracy theorist, and of course we're not here, we would never go into conspiracy theories. But, if you were a conspiracy theorist, the idea was that if you got, Nikki Haley's name's been thrown around, DeSantis or Chris Christie, they wanted someone like that as a vice president. And then after this assassination attempt, and the left has been calling for the assassination of Trump for a long time.
Well, they've been calling for the assassination of Trump since 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, they've been calling for his assassination for 8 years now.
And Biden has said before about, there's a bullseye on Trump, and we all know he meant it. I mean, even though he meant it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you'd have to ask yourself, well, if they can't influence the election by November, then they have to influence the inauguration by January.
Mm-hmm.
So then the idea was you put somebody else in there that would be a neocon like Nikki Haley or Chris Christie or somebody like that. Maybe DeSantis, that can be argued different ways, but somebody like that. there's no way he's going to take Pence back. They would really love to have Pence take over.
Oh, but I think just Trump's ego and his sense of being burned via loyalty would never allow that.
Would never allow that. So they can't do that. He wouldn't take Haley, and he wouldn't take Chris Christie. So he did take Vance, but that was still a compromise.
Well, what does this Vance character bring to the ticket? Is what because I never even heard of this guy. You know, like, and also like he's not a, you know, things are very, very much about, you know, identity. He's not black. He's not a woman. He's not a homosexual. You know, he doesn't have any of the sort of box ticking. I mean, what does he actually bring to the ticket? Is he going to be able to help, you know, in a swing state?
Yeah. They want him for the Rust Belt states because he's from Ohio.
Okay.
So they want him for Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, but especially Wisconsin and maybe Minnesota.
And is he popular in these places?
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're hoping he's going to be. So, and he's supposed to continue. Well, if there were something to happen to Trump, you know, he would take over and hopefully it doesn't change the policies that much. You know, there's a lot of speculation on there's speculation on what Trump's life expectancy is.
How's that? I mean, I know he's getting up there. What is he, 78? Something.
Well, no, that's got nothing to do with it.
oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
He's got several people that headed his direction to consult with him about that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Dan Bongino's he's been a Secret Service agent, and Trump calls him all the time. But there's also General Flynn's crew that's probably headed that direction.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think that between now and November, and then November and January, what kind of surprises are we going to be seeing? You got any predictions or throwouts?
Well, let's see. I doubt he's going to do any more outdoor events because it's easier to secure an indoor event from snipers. So if that's going to be, if he's going to stick to, he loves to do outdoor events, by the way. He really does love that. Mm-hmm. But if he's got to stick to indoor events, yeah, that's then they're going to have to, if they can't do a long range shot, then they got to come up with another angle for that. So are they going to try to food poison them, or what are they going to do? Mm-hmm. Are they going to? Is his plane going to malfunction? You know, I don't know. It's going to be a good guess what they're going to try to do next.
Okay. With that said, I think we've been going for about an hour and 35 minutes. It's pretty respectable. We got about on all platforms about 1,500. I'm not sure why Rumble did not connect. I'm going to have to figure that out for the next one. Is there anything you'd like to impart to our audience? First of all, do you want to shill? Do you want people to be able to find you? You're not really interested in that at all.
Oh, I'm on ravengeostrategic.com. My in-depth papers are over there.
Can you send that to me in the private chat, and I'll put it out, and I'll put it in the description right now.
Oh, well, well, if you go to the top of the slide set.
Okay.
Raven Geostrategic is up there. Just somebody just
right there. There it is.
Just add a .com to it.
Okay. All right, there we go. So you can find George there. Anything else?
And on Working Brother channel.
Mm-hmm. Working Brother channel.
And I'll be going back on. I'm bogged down in some stuff I have to do, and then I'll probably go back on Energy Newsbeat more regularly.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, I'd like to say thanks, George, for being here. Also for the audience, it's always a pleasure. We'll hopefully be able to do something like this again soon, George. And let's just hope nothing particularly bad happens over the next little while. It just seems like every time I wake up and I take a look at, every time I wake up and I take a look at the news, there always seems to be some sort of awful, story and thing. One thing, sorry, before we go, George, what are your thoughts if Trump if he is reelected as president? What is going to happen vis-a-vis not only NATO, but also the war in Ukraine and the future political aspirations of Vladimir Zelensky? Now and the Zelensky regime. I mean, his mandate as president ran out in May. He's an unelected dictator at this point. I should point out. What are your thoughts? How would a Trump administration affect the war in Ukraine and the Zelensky regime?
Oh, I think they go for a compromise and end it. Trump has never changed his mind on ending that. He listens to Doug McGregor on that. That's been his advisor.
Right.
I'm sure everyone is already familiar with Colonel McGregor. He's on all the time. Yeah, I mean the whole play there, and I did the videos, the past couple of years. I've been talking about pipelines and petrodollars. Yeah, the West is in a big bind because Russian natural gas is about the equivalent to $7 a barrel oil. If Russia's allowed to sell to Germany, then the political center of gravity shifts. So Trump is going to have to do something to mitigate that. He's going to have to pull NATO back because that's it's NATO moving over and blocking in all the ports, pipelines, and railway projects from going from Russia to Belarus into Europe is what they're trying to stop. They're trying to stop all trade going east to west, including that of China. They're trying to mitigate that. So it's going to be another couple of months before I get back to my Russian natural gas and realignment papers. They are on my website. Those long videos are on Stuart Turley's Energy Newsbeat. I have another 6 or 7 to do of those, and I also have to do a Chinese overland logistical supply route and global realignment series of papers. That's just walking around explaining to people what the difference is between the Belt and Road Initiative. I mean, the original Silk Road Initiative, and then punching out railways and ports, mostly to the Indian Ocean, but also to the Bay of Thailand, what those maritime strategies are about. So there's, I'll get back into that. I got other projects. I got 7P plan projects to do for internal domestic politics, trend projection analysis that I want to do. So yeah, that's what I got going on for 6 months.
So you're all over the place. You got lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. All right. Well, George, as always, it's a pleasure. I'm going to take us out now. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience, or just a farewell?
No, we're good.
Okay, we're good. All right, everybody. Again, thanks for being here. We will see you again soon. I'm thinking about maybe doing a weekly roundup news show just by myself. So maybe, hopefully, you guys might want to tune into that. Maybe I'll start it. Maybe do it on a Sunday or a Friday. Not sure which. But yeah, I think I don't mind streaming it. It's a lot easier than making normal videos. That's for sure.
Yeah. People do want us to raise our production value, but it's tremendously time consuming. Yeah. People really want us to practice the videos and then do them. You're adding another 30 hours onto a week that we just don't have.
Yeah, exactly. Unless there's and stuff like mine is just automatically, if it's not already demonetized, like the entire channel.
I lose money doing this.
Sorry?
I lose money doing this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I do too. I just lost an hour and a half of my time. I lose money doing it as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll give you whatever slide sets I got going on at the time. Or or
Which is
whatever
good.
research
Yeah.
project I got going on, and that's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. One more thing. You can find George at ravengeostrategic.com, just like it's written right here. You can find my new t-shirt here. It's kind of cool. I like it. It's like a sort of Japanese woodblock inspired shirt of Trump, taking on the demons of the deep state. But I also have all the old t-shirts that are up there as well. If you want to go check that out, it would be appreciated. Link is in the description. This probably should be the first link. And that's it. Bye for now, everybody.